Oh my goodness.
What's that?
See, I feel like we keep on getting close to the end, but look at that most recent chat.
Shakira. All right, I need your favorite The Walking Dead characters. My boyfriend experiencing the show for the first time. Rick, 1000% best character of the show. Second best character of the show, Carl. Unironically, bad actor at first, puts a considerable amount of work into it as the show progresses. I'm not going to give away spoilers because you guys probably haven't watched it. But Rick's character, the best character. Well, the best actor character combo. I think Carl's character is really good. He's a little bit of a weak actor, but he does a good job at trying his best, and I respect that.
I think Carl got so much hate that was undeserved.
Absolutely.
And the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, I hate Carl. But we actually recently, like, I think the end of last year or whatever, since we got married, we rewatched all of The Walking Dead, and a few months ago finally finished the last few seasons.
Yeah.
My favorite character is Daryl,
Nah,
but
too
I
easy.
think towards the end of the show, they did make him too much of a wussy.
They ruined everything in the show. Nothing made sense anymore. Every
Yeah.
character was dead. They ruined every character. They were all garbage and dog shit. The last season of The Walking Dead, where they found, what was it called, Paradise or whatever, was what bothers me more than something being bad is something that's really bad that could have been really good.
Yeah.
That bothers the shit out of me. The general idea where they found, like, what was it called? They found like that new town that was really well established with tens of thousands of people in it, with a robust military, was a phenomenal. It was really good. And you remember what I said? Like, they end up going in there and exposing the socioeconomic problems of the rich and the poor, despite the fact that the poor people there, to be honest with you, had decent amenities, not to be a dick, but whatever. And if they didn't, they did a really bad job at showing the actual poverty there. But they show this town, they go in there and they save the day and they overthrow the government and then they implement communism. I don't know. Excuse me. I burped up some food. What that show should have been, it would have been perfect if they had gone through and our main characters that we love and we support and we continue to support in that show became the bad guys of their story. In a way that when you were finished watching, you were like, holy fuck. They are basically all Negans now. They should have went in like normally, however they got in, gone in there, got accustomed to town, noticed some things that they had issues with, and then like toppled it because it wasn't perfect and because they couldn't run it and they think that they know better, and destroyed that civilization. And it would have been such an amazing poetic ending to The Walking Dead. It would have been phenomenal to see how like the environment of being constantly destroyed over like however many seasons finally turned them into the bad guy. It would have been very poetic. It would have been like really impactful. It would have been an incredible thing. But instead it was this fucking boring show. It was just so fucking boring. And like, remember the point where Maggie let a guy die just because
Yeah.
she just let this guy die. He was like, he
Yeah,
like ran away.
train.
Yeah, he like ran away and then he came back and then she's like, we don't have enough time to open the door. And like for the next minute, he was like
You just literally watched him
Die.
die slowly.
Yeah.
And that's what I was gonna say. I think that my least favorite character in the show is Maggie.
Yeah, they did her horribly. I
really think that Maggie's character is one of those characters that's supposed to be like a female champion.
Yeah, and
there to be a female.
She
champion.
was a really good character, and then they ruined her. Like, she was good. She was written really well. She was a good, strong character. Her husband was killed. Sorry for the spoilers. That was a great opportunity for her to become like a strong female boss leader, and she did. And then they completely ruined her lazily. Somebody said they did that with Alexandria. No, they didn't. Rick didn't just overthrow and kill everybody who stood against him. He did have like a point where he was too aggressive, but it wasn't to that degree. He got his shit together and worked well with them. It was stupid. And then the troopers handling the zombies. They would always like die. It was weird. The whole thing like was so lazy and it made no sense. It was stupid.
It's like funny because when you rewatch it, you don't realize how long some storylines are.
Yep.
Like in binging it, like Negan starts, I feel like, immediately.
You think it starts quickly?
And lasts way too
Season 5.
fucking long.
You think so?
And then there was just so many
Bro.
things that felt, or maybe is that just a trend with
No, no.
shows?
You know why it felt so long? Because well, two things. Well, okay. The reason is because they fucked up the way that they started to segment the show. They hit a point in the show, I forget what season, but it was like in the Negan era, where most shows tell stories like this. Hey, we have 3 storylines, and you're going to see a little bit of each of them in every episode, right?
Yeah.
They transitioned to, we're just going to do 1 episode per storyline. So I remember when we thought Glenn died on the dumpster scene. You remember that?
Yeah.
He didn't die. I think it was 3 episodes it took for them to address that. So people waited like almost a month just to see if he lived or died. That drags and it ruins things, and it completely takes you out of like the feeling. The A, B, C tier plot lines are really good. Some are better than others, but it feels good to cut the tension of the A plot line, to go to the C plot line for a little bit, to dial back. It's like in a video game where there's intense action for like fucking 10 minutes, and then you calm down and you're in like a slow area because you need time to just breathe and pull you back down into the slow, right? So people do that all the time. Like when you start to pace yourself, and you see how like I slowed my voice, but it feels good because now you're relaxed. You're not putting too much energy into things. The pacing was really good. I think that's a huge part of it. But another thing, they killed Negan's story too, because Negan was a cuck.
So fucking much they could have done with Negan, and not for nothing. What a wonderful actor to have as Negan.
Oh, he's
Because
great.
I love you. I want nothing else other than you. But Jeffrey Dean Morgan is a very like
all right,
nice man.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah,
So
yeah.
he was like, I think, the perfect guy to have in such like a piece of shit role. Because imagine if they had
He was really good.
fucking the actor that plays Merle playing Negan.
Yeah, Merle was
It's
good.
not going to have that same effect.
Merle was good though, but I know what you mean. Like
Merle was good because he was Merle, but like Jeffrey Dean Morgan, you know, he's handsome.
He's a sexy, charismatic piece of shit. He's a really good. He conflicts you emotionally, and he's smooth. But speaking of Merle, really quick, that motherfucker dropped a hard N-bomb in the first season. That was wild. Go back and rewatch it. It's fucking crazy. Anyway, they ruined his character. The interesting thing about Negan is when he's against Rick, he's the worst person in the world. But as you pull out and retract, this is what happens. You see an asshole who was leading, and he was absolutely taking advantage of a lot of other communities, 100%. But he was trying to keep things in order. And the only reason he killed a couple of Rick's friends is because they killed like 20 fucking of their guys. And you look back and you're like, he was never perfect, and he was an asshole, and he deserves criticism, and he wasn't the good guy. But like, was he that much of the bad guy? And there was something to really consider when it came to that. The last season was just like, oh, you were the horrible person in the world. You killed my husband. You guys went in and killed like fucking 20 of their guys before they even knew who the fuck you were, right? So, yeah.
I want to say something about Negan and I lost it.
He's got a hog. He's got a nice hog.
Fuck, what was it? I really don't.
While you're thinking, one thing that bothered me a lot is that the technique where they learn to wrangle the walkers was like it was used sometimes, but not all the time. It was so weird.
The thing that this isn't what I was thinking.
No.
Oh, I remember what else I was thinking of though, but I'll go back. So they introduced something in the last season that I don't want to.
And just say it. The people, if you're spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. I don't remember what they called it, but like remember they thought that the walker was a whisperer because it was like a smart walker.
Yes, they introduced a smart walker. Yes.
And then they just ended the show. And it's annoying because as we were watching the show, like that's one of the things I talked about.
The walker climbed a ladder, right? And like used a rock or a knife.
Yeah, so like and
they thought it was a whisperer.
I think it might be the first episode,
Mhm.
or maybe it's the episode with the kid from Everybody Hates Chris. I don't remember. Anyways, at some point,
I like that character.
they are in a storefront and a walker picks up a rock and starts banging on the window.
In the first season, though. No, that's the first season.
Yes, and then Morgan, I think, was he the one that had the wife and the kid?
I don't know. Keep going though. I'll remember.
That's in the first season. The dad and son that Rick stays with. His
Okay.
wife is a walker.
Yeah.
She walks up to the house.
Yeah, Morgan.
And she jiggles the doorknob.
Yeah. Yep.
And so
Yep.
I was saying how those are inconsistencies
With the rest of the show until
with
the
rest
end.
of the show that they show like some type of like problem solving, like picking up a rock and banging on a window is actually very complex.
By the way, somebody recommended we play the Telltale Walking Dead games together. That's really good stuff because it's more of a story narrative, which could be a lot of fun for us to play together as like a playthrough, like a let's play.
Okay.
But anyway,
they did expand on it in a spinoff. We
No,
haven't
no, no,
watched
no.
any of the spinoffs.
That's the problem though, because what you're saying is this. In the first season, there were 2 instances of smart walkers who had some kind of muscle memory. A guy banging a rock into a door, like one of the first episodes. The girl jiggling the knob. They completely cut that out for the whole show, and then at the end they reintroduced it. Why did they do that? It's not to be consistent with the first episode. In fact, I imagine the way that they reference it, I imagine that they don't even want to reference the first episode. They did it to plug the spinoff. They didn't do it to introduce us. They did it to plug a spinoff to say, you like smart walkers? Well, go watch the fucking Fear My Walking Anus, you fucking asshole. Oh, there's shit fucking coming out of my ass. Like, that's what you're meant to do. It's not honest storytelling. It's they did something in the first season and forgot about it, which is fine, right? Because the rest of the show is a good amount of the show is very good. They reintroduce it, not to reintroduce it, but to plug another Walking Dead. That's all they did it for. I think it's dishonest and it's shitty.
The other thing that I wanted to go back to is almost a commentary on what we were talking about.
You say
earlier.
Commentary?
Yeah, commentary. So you brought up how in like the first season, Merle
says the N-word.
T-Dog, like the N-word with a hard R.
Yeah, that was wild.
And like earlier in a different segment we were talking about like the change of social narratives and how we interact with others and stuff like that. And like, you know, that the show originated however many years ago, and like maybe funny is not the right word, but like that scene was very obviously to show like him using that word was
a bad guy.
To show that he is a bad guy. He's
Yeah.
a bad person.
Absolutely.
That we don't like. And like now
I liked him. I'm just kidding.
like now you would never hear that.
I know what you're saying.
TV show, you know?
It's interesting because I made a video. It was about like, I'm not going to bore you with the specific drama, but you know, the reference iDubbbz used to defend the usage of slurs and whatever, he apologized for recently, and then like this guy Moist Critical kind of defended it. Not saying that it's okay now, but like it's just a little bit of silly edginess back then. And I made the point that like you cannot use a slur nowadays, and it without being racist. It is racist, whether it's like actively you hate the group, or it's that you, especially on an online space or in public space, because you are like actively saying that you don't care about those individuals tuning into engaging with your content. You're not creating like a comfortable space. So if you still have the R slur or the N word or something, you're even if you have no hatred, or you're not calling like a person that would be targeted with that word, you're still engaging in like a form, like a level of bigotry, even if it's not really hateful. And then somebody's like, that's a stupid point. What about movies? And it's like, okay, that's a good point, but it doesn't change anything I'm saying. Movies and shows are a form of art, right? Like that's different than like, hey guys, I'm going to defend using the N word because I think it's just a word. Is different from like, hey guys, let's, in a movie or a show, let's communicate through the usage of something like that. Like, yeah, have somebody, like, remember we watched, what was that movie with Down syndrome in it? With Woody Harrelson.
That was a good movie.
It was very good.
Called?
That was a really good, fun movie. Woody Harrelson movie, Champions.
Yeah.
I think at one point they called the kids with Down syndrome the R slur. And I think that even Woody Harrelson said it.
He like almost did.
Yeah, and it was like
cut him off and used it as a psycho educational moment.
yes, and it's like okay, like they did. It was a really bad word, but they engaged with it in the proper way to be like, hey, listen. It was part of like the art of the movie. People aren't using it for like the art of comedy. They're using it to be fucking pieces of shit. And like in a show like that instance of Walking Dead, that's an excellent example. Like use the word because he's a piece of shit racist. So don't just be like, oh, I don't like you silly Billy black guys. No, be a racist asshole and then let him get his just desserts. Then he got his hand cut off because he was a racist, a belligerent dick. They had to chain him to the top of a fucking thing and he had to cut his hand off and he had to like run around. And then they even did a level of reformation for his character where he became not a good guy, but like a gray character. Where like remember he worked for the governor, which was a very good enemy, and then like he had like his moment where he's like like you know, and like he wasn't a good guy, but then we started to be like, oh man, we could kind of vibe with this guy. It was an excellent re-education thing.